Hello, and I really hope that you guys can hear me well. I've got my mic here, and so I just wanted to say welcome on board and congratulations for joining a very, very impactful course, which is about leadership. One of the skills and one of the topic area I think that is most needed in the world. Okay, so congratulations for those participating today and for being here, for taking the time to learn, to get yourself better at the skill, and for those who really want to make an impact in the world. Okay. So my name is Ousha Demello. So by profession, I have been a business lecturer almost all my life. And what I've done is I've run my own business as well. I have a publishing company, and I also create courses for individuals. And I had the honor of receiving a couple of business awards as well. And I am also an author, and my book actually became international bestselling in many categories and in 7 countries as well. So if anybody would like to check it out, so if you just type my name is Ousha Demello on Amazon, you should be able to see it. Okay. So Jackson, if you're listening, could you please help me share my screen so I can actually get started? So while we wait, what I would like to know a little bit, just to make sure that you all can hear me well and can see me, if you could, please type 1 in the chat box for all the participants. So I just want you to engage a little bit. So I don't want to be just doing all the talking. I would really like to see you engaging with me. So that, yeah, I've got Dylan, I've got Sajid, I've got Adavia, Ayeshan, welcome. Tama Balan, Hiyumi, thank you so much for interacting. So keep the one coming. What I would like you to do, guys, is just not sit there and listen to me. If you have a pen and paper, you want to take notes, perhaps when I will share my screen later, if you want to take print screen of anything that you need to, do feel free, but interact and engage. It's not going to be a long one, but I would like you to engage a little bit with me, okay? Otherwise, it becomes a bit awkward, just me talking. All right, so amazing. So I can share. Just 1 minute. Amazing. So I can see my screen now. So welcome again. So this is a very, very important topic. And, you know, in this world now, what we're looking is we've got 77% of corporations are experiencing noticeably leadership gaps. And there is a massive need of effective business leaders. I would say not just business, but we need it in our country as well. And it's needed more than ever. Now, leadership is a valuable asset that is in high demand. I know that. It's a resource that actually becoming more and more scarce. And sorry, if anybody could just mute yourself, everyone could mute yourself. Thank you. And especially now that if you look at all the political turmoil going through right now, you'll see that it is really, really evident that there is a lack of competent leadership. Now, when we go through the journey with me about leadership, you will see that everybody or anybody can become a leader. However, being a competent, being a servant leader, being an effective and strategic leader takes something quite unique and different. And at the end, I think you will get the gesture of it. Okay. So we are going through crisis at the moment in our country. You know, there are these devastating consequences, and like, you know, it's just a matter of decision, a matter of action, and a matter of great leadership could actually have really bad impacts, such as, you know, shortages of medicine that's going to impact on people's life and healthcare, fuel shortages that actually going to impact on, you know, our day-to-day living. And we're not going to forget about what happened when we had COVID, the pandemic, which actually seriously affected, you know, the country's economy by, you know, including, let's say, tourism, that actually was limited by the and the shortage of a great leadership is actually not just limited to the government only now. The problem is it's happening in many organizations. There's a massive gap of leadership in businesses as well. Okay. So many people assume that if you want to become a great leader, you have to have a certain skills, or you will have to be born with certain skills. But I believe that if you are passionate about leadership yourself, you can develop and hone these skills. And it doesn't matter which stage you are at, but it will require one more thing, which I'm going to cover. It is a matter of the drive that you have, and the your goals in actually creating something greater than yourself. Okay. So I am quite curious because when I was studying and when I was doing, I wouldn't say level 7, but when I was even smaller, I remember when I was asked what is leadership, and I very confidently explained that, oh, leadership is actually the one who leads. Now, I'm quite curious to know what you think about leadership. I am not going to take too much time on that, but I would like to know, and I want to know your views about leadership. So, in very simple terms, or perhaps even just in one word, if you could put in the chat box, what do you think leadership is? Just put it there. I would like to just know your views before I share anything else with you. Okay. So, I would like to know the definition of leadership. It could be just one word from you, it will be fine. Okay, I can't see my comments here, but I'm hoping you guys are actually going to type something. So, what do you mean? What do you understand by energy? So I've got energy, leadership. I've got energy, guiding team. Yeah, it could be many things. It could be, team management. It could be, inspiring your team, inspiring people, influencing people. Yeah, amazing. I can see loads of comments coming in, inspiring others. Amazing. And or someone who's skillful, someone who's got a great vision. Yes, amazing. Now, do you think, type one in the chat box if you think leadership is a role, someone who influences, I've got here. Thank you so much, everyone who's interacted. So, type one in the chat box if you think that leadership is a role. Okay. So, this is what my belief is. Yeah, I can see loads of more comments coming in. Amazing. Thank you so much. So, I believe that leadership is not just a position, it is actually a skill that you have, a skill of influence that everybody can master. So, this is a skill that even if you're not born as a leader, you can actually learn to be a leader. The reason is, it's just like you going to the gym. If you just go and practice, for example, you guys on a course, it's very important for me to say that to you right now because you are all on a strategic leadership course. Now, it's just like going to the gym. If you go to the gym one day and you come back and you look in front of the mirror, you're not going to see muscles, right? It's something that you have to consistently work on. It's the same thing for you to be able to develop a leadership skill. Now, you go on a course on a postgraduate at level 7 or a master degree, but if you don't keep on consistently working on those skills, you're not going to become an effective leader. Okay. So a leader is a skill of influence that everyone can master. It is not essentially a skill that you need to, it is actually a skill that you actually need for you to be able to succeed in life, I believe. Now, whether you're in business, even if you're in your home, as you can see, there's many people in the household who actually, when you say, oh, the man of the house or who controls the house. Now, there's leaders in different ways. It depends on what area of your life that you are leading. Okay. So the power of leadership lies is in not just leading others, but it is also in lending yourself first. So it is about influencing thoughts, emotions, actions. That is going to take people to a greater good. Okay. Now, for those who have had the opportunity to have amazing work experiences or has been around great leaders, you will realize that there are many different types of leaders. Now, authentic leaders is about a servant leader. And I think that is the best leadership you could ever have in any organization or a country. It's about servant leadership. Someone who is influencing others, but the course is not going to be a personal gain. It is going to be the master of skill to influence, impact someone else around them to make the world a better place or to make that person better at what they do. That is what I think is called leadership. So leadership is a skill, is and an action, not just a position. It's something that you do, is something that you will have to have, which is the power to influence emotion and things like this. Okay. Now, for you to become a leader, you need to also now be able to overcome your own limitations. Now, you can't go in an organization or you can't lead a country if you don't have belief in yourself, if you don't have belief in the cause that you have. So it's not enough to have great ideas. Like, even if you had a great idea, like a lot of people, a lot of you, I know you have amazing skills. You probably come up with great ideas. You're very innovative, but those ideas will die on your lip unless you have the power to be able to motivate others and bring the ideas into a reality. That is what you call leadership. Okay. It's not about just having it, it's about being able to influence. So, if you, like, let's say if you're identifying a vision that is going to be larger than yourself, and if you're committed to anything that you're doing, let's say I'm committing to make the world a better place, and then that's when you're going to inspire others to follow your lead. For me to be able to do that, I have to believe in myself that I can make the world a better place. Okay. So leadership is not about just your natural abilities, but rather it's about the willingness for you to be able to learn, to grow, and to be able to strive towards something greater than yourself, greater than you can see. Okay. I hope this is making sense, and thank you again for those who are participating and engaging. So leadership is a skill and action, not a position. And I believe there is no position in leadership. Like, I've seen many leaders and I've worked with many leaders, and I've seen management. Like, let's say if I'm in a organization and there is someone who is high up there who is managing and controlling the organization, but their aim is all about profit, profit, profit. And then you have someone who is at a lower hierarchy who is also, making sure and they are following the vision of the organization. However, they're taking care of the people. They are making sure that they're looking after one another. And I believe that person at the lower hierarchy is a better leader than the one who is managing on top. So it's all about the belief. It's all about you really striving for success. Okay. So that's what's more important. Now, I could go on and on about leadership because it's a really interesting topic. And you perhaps are working on your leadership course right now, learning quite a lot about what is leadership. But what I want to highlight with you, I think that is very impactful and necessary, is what leadership is not, because that will help you become a better leader if you know what leadership is not. Okay, because leadership sometimes is taken and is taken as a role, is taken as an authority to be able to impart decision and manage. And if you have a vision for yourself and you're using that leadership to actually obtain and achieve those goals. But what leadership is not is very important for you to understand. Okay, so what leadership is not, and I will repeat that again a few times: you're not in charge. Leadership doesn't mean that you're in charge. You're not in charge because you have to be in charge. You have to take care of those who are in charge. Okay? So a good leader is not in charge. A great leader is going to take care of the people that are in charge of a certain area of the job. Okay? It's a shame that people are not trained like this. If you read books, you're not going to see things like that. They're going to tell you about authority. They tell you about different leadership styles and all of that. But leadership isn't about just holding an authority over someone. Okay? It's about positively influencing people to reach new heights. So if you're an organization, and obviously we have to make sure that people are believing in the vision and mission of the organization, or if you're leading a country, you want people to be following the same vision, you have to have a positive influence of people yourself. So it's about you taking care of them to make them have an open mind about that vision, to educate them about that vision, to educate them and train them and coach them for them to be competent in being able to follow that vision with you. Okay. So aspiring to become a greater leader is important because it will help people realize their full potential, and obviously they will have to be able to develop better skills. And I personally, wherever I've worked, whoever I've worked with in terms of leaders, and wherever my skills were being pushed and challenged and where I had to learn more, I appreciated more. Okay. So a big part of leadership means taking responsibility also when things go wrong, and praising others where things go right. So it's all about the responsibility as well. Okay. And just to give you an example, like you could have someone working in two different places, and let's say place A and place B. The person actually would like place A more than place B. Although it's the same person, the person is working exactly in the same working style, but it's all about the engagement that they get. Like, for example, leaders should take care of those in charge by regularly asking them. So if you're working in place A and your leader is constantly asking, how are you doing? How's your job going? What is it that I can do to help you make your job better? And then you have place B where, management or leaders are just looking into, okay, what's going well, and only get engaged with someone and the staff when things go wrong. Now, this is not just a theory. I have personally experienced these type of leadership, and it does matter. It makes a big change. Okay. So another thing is you have to understand is it's not, you're not in charge in terms of it's not about you making sure that the people are working well or not, but you have to really create an environment where everyone can grow and thrive. So effective leadership make all the difference in the success of a team in terms of how you are engaging with people and how you are providing the environment for them to grow. And you're not the authority, but you're not in charge, but you're the one who is actually taking care of the people in charge. That's what great leadership is. Okay, I hope this is making sense. Something else that you need to understand, I'm sure you guys know it, by principle, I do see this not being actioned in the workplace or in general. So leadership is not management. Management is doing things right, while leadership is doing the right thing. Now, leadership is often confused with management, but they are two different distinct roles. In like this is the words of someone called Peter. He's a management consultant, and he says management is about doing things right, and leadership is doing things right. Sorry, I said that wrong. So management is doing things right, while leadership is doing the right thing. So management is mostly focused on tasks and processes to make sure everything is running efficiently. However, the leadership or the leaders would have to actually go beyond and get involved in inspiring, guiding towards your shared vision and the goal that the company have, right? So your leader, if you're a leader, you're working as a leader, you're not just going to go there and actually delegate tasks, but you're actively taking charge. You motivate your team because you're not going to be transactional. You want to be more transformational. Okay. So, one thing though, managers can be leaders, but leaders is not a job title. Leaders is a matter of mindset. So, managers can be leaders if they change the mindset of how they work, how they communicate, and how they push their employees to work towards meeting those objectives. Okay. It takes courage, it takes vision, and you have to have excellent and exceptional communication skill, I think, for you to be able to become a leader. I'm going to cover a little bit more about the communication later, but it is actually quite crucial. And the third one is what leadership is not. Leadership is not one size fits all. Now, you have to have flexibility. I'm not going to talk about traits and characteristics of leaders. I'm sure you guys know that already. But leadership, and I'm sure you've learned about the leadership styles as well. And I don't agree to it. I know, we've probably learned, and when I learn about leadership in university as well, and what you see in books, it actually say you could be a certain type of you have a certain style of leadership, or you could be a combination of these two leadership. But you have to have flexibility. Flexibility is a key characteristic of an effective leadership. And the best leaders are those who have mastered the art of switching between different leadership styles depending on the situation at hand. So you have to be flexible. You have to learn. There's no one specific leadership style that I think is best, but you need to have a combination of them. And most importantly, you need to be able to know how to switch according to the situation. Okay. So being skilled in leadership styles will allow leaders to react to various challenges quickly and efficiently. And, as a great leader, you're not really limiting yourself to a single approach, but you have to understand that you have to be adaptable. Adaptability is the key to success. Whether the situation demands for you to be democratic, autocratic, or a coaching leadership styles, the best leader have the ability to transition from one style to another, demonstrating their flexibility and ensuring that their team is equipped to handle any challenges that they have. Okay. So my belief here is you as a leader, you're not in charge, but you are to be taking care of the people that are in charge. You're not the management, but you have to have a different influential style. But a manager can be a leader, but it is all about mindset, and leadership have to be flexibility in terms of their style. And that's what will make you an effective leader. Now, leadership is crucial foundation to creating high performance team. And the main subject today really is about high performing team, right? So without leadership, teams can easily fall apart. They can fail to reach their full potential because they don't have guidance or they don't have the shared vision. Therefore, it is necessary for us to make use of leadership excellence to drive performance and success over the long term. Now, why am I using the word excellent here? Excellence, not excellent. So there's a difference between excellent and excellence. Excellent is when you're just aiming for higher, you like the best you can. And excellence is when you have reached mastery. How do you reach mastery? Is by continuously improving yourself. So, why is leadership now the crucial foundation for creating a high performance team? Now, many high performance teams are capable of operating independently, right? Some people like team can work efficiently if you have a system in place. But truly, to reach the highest potential, there must always be a guiding presence who can assist them in accomplishing greater feats. Now, think about yourself in your household. If you've got kids, you've trained your kids to do certain things, but you can't really leave them to do it. But sometimes, as a parent, you've got to say, yes, well done, you've done it well, because what happens is they get encouraged, they get motivated to do more of it. So it's the same thing as leaders. You can have a team that is going to work efficiently without you, but you have to be a guiding kind of presence for you to be there to show and push them to be greater than they are. Now, we're talking about high performance team. So there are, in my opinion, many pillars to a high performance team, and I'm sure you guys have seen this in your notes or at university in books. But I'm going to cover what I believe you will never be able to attain a higher team performance if you don't have those within your leadership journey. Okay, so the first one is clarity. Now, remember, earlier I said leadership is about influencing thoughts. So could you please mute yourself, whoever's talking? So clarity, actually, for example, when I'm talking about clarity here, I'm talking about the ability to change or influence people's thoughts, emotions, and action toward the greater good. Now, as a leader, I am unable to do this if I don't have a clear clarity in terms of my own vision. For example, if I want to go somewhere and I want to convince you that you should be coming with me, I cannot convince you, I cannot influence your decision at all if I am not convinced myself that where we're going is worth it. Okay. So it's the same thing for effective leadership to be able to build a high performance team is you have to be able to influence the person and your members, because they will depend on you for you to give them the clarity and the guidance. Okay. So being a leader is about driven by something greater than yourself, something like having a clear vision, having a purpose that motivates you to make that significant impact on the world. Like, for example, I just gave you the example of me wanting to go somewhere and me wanting to influence you to come with me. Now, if I don't have a belief that this place is worth it, there's no way that I could actually translate that into and influence you to even be thinking about coming to join me. So whether you call it a mission, legacy, dream, a burning agenda, or an intent, it's always the same. You have to have a clear
Now,
vision. You have to have a clear purpose for you to be able to impact on the world and impact on the team. Now, if you are going to be an exemplary leader, you have to be able to imagine the positive future for yourself. Now, where I'm going is going to be amazing because I've already pictured that positive future. That's why I can actually portray this, and I will be able to help you and motivate you and influence you to be able to come through with me, right? So when you envision the future you want for yourself and for others, then you will feel passionate about the legacy you want to leave, and you are much more likely to take the first step towards it, or moving forward towards it. Okay. But remember, it's not just about your vision
बोलो क्या
now,
tag
it's
down सही
a
है
shared vision. Leadership is all about a shared vision. So, however, for you to be able to create that shared vision that inspires and motivates others, you must find clarity within your own vision first. So you must believe wholeheartedly in what you are striving to achieve before you can even expect others to follow you or to lead you. Okay. So let's say if you want to create a climate of meaningfulness, you must first believe in something yourself before you can even go out and inspire. So you need to inspire yourself first. That is the first thing of a leadership. So when you do that and you have clarity within the mission and the vision, that's when you're going to be able to lead a great team. Clarity is first. Now, once you've achieved, you have clarity in terms of your vision and mission, in terms of the goals, you have to have effective communication. Effective communication does not always happen easily. It involves a lot of participation, cooperation, and it has to have a purposeful intent. Okay? Communication builds trust. Communication is going to build trust. To persuade others, you have to be persuaded yourself, right? You can't give something to somebody else if you don't have it yourself. So that is why you have to have clarity first, and then you have to make sure there is effective communication as well, because that is what's going to drive a high performance team. Now, a team's performance is governed by the ability to collectively make decisions and to make collective decisions and to be able to take actions as well. Okay, the process of decision making and action is impacted by the level of trust that your team will have on you as a leader. For example, if there is little trust within the team, any decision taken is likely to be disputed or not even fully committed by certain team members. Okay. So trust depends on the team ability to communicate. And when I mean about the team ability to communicate well, I also mean about your leadership ability to communicate well with your team. So, because what you want to do is you want to establish relationships, explain your decisions. Sometimes, if you may need to justify your decisions, explore other alternatives that you've collected. Okay. Now, let me just give you an example about communication now, which perhaps you might not even think about. Um, let's say if one of your team, you're as a leader, and one of your team is not working effectively, what happens? What is the consequences of someone? If you could just type in the chat box here, What do you believe the consequence will be for an employee for them not performing, consistently not performing? What happens to them? What is the consequence? I would like to know your views about it. So perhaps they'll be given a notice, perhaps they get disciplinary. What would happen? Am I muted? Okay, I'm muted. All right. So yeah, what would happen to anybody who is not performing well? Termination, not hitting goals as a team, drawbacks and issues. Yeah. So these are consequences, right? But what you do with your team as a leader, what you do with your team is basically you give communicating to people of what your values are. Okay. So, for example, anybody has got kids here. Sometimes your kid doesn't really do what you ask them. You could be training them or you taught them to do things, but somehow they will get things wrong. But does that mean I'm going to give them for adoption? I'm going to get another child. Yeah, you don't do this in your home, right? So as a leader, it's the same thing when you are looking after your team. Now, I see it that way. So if I'm going to sack, if, as a leader, if you are going to terminate someone's for not doing their job, I am not worried about the person who's left the job. I'm more worried about the perception of the people who are going to still stay in the job. Because every single decision that your company is making, this is a piece of communication. Think about that. So if I'm sacking someone because they're not doing their job, I'm not portraying a great value for the rest of the team that's going to follow. They're not going to be as passionate about the job. So communication doesn't necessarily come verbally in terms of what you're saying, how you're saying, clarity. It also depends on the decisions that you make and the action that you're taking around a company. Okay. So just think about that. And I want you just to have an open mind about leadership when it comes to it's not about authority and all of that. It's all about nurturing, it's all about service. And that's what a great leader is. A great leader is a servant leader. A servant leader is someone who is able to serve. Now you're serving the people who are helping you serve the community. Okay. So by sacking them is not always the great answer. I know sometimes you've got to do it if you're given chances and all that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a process itself in terms of the culture that you're going to create for people that will be working for you or your influences. Okay. Now, the third thing that I think is important, that is the pillar of any high performance team, is commitment. Now, I'm not talking just about commitment of people who are working. I'm talking about commitment of a leader himself. So leaders who do not openly display commitment to the team should not expect others to commit them to them or to their vision. If you are not willing to dedicate your own efforts towards achieving the very goal that you set out, how can you expect other team to do the same? Okay, so high performance team leaders provide much needed support to those they're asking to realize their vision. Now, in doing so, what you do, you're creating a great culture to belonging within the team. Okay, so you're establishing that personal connection. You have a positive impact on the team and emotionally well-being and productivity and their performance, everything will be improved. Okay. So I just want to give you an example for this. So there is a guy, his name is called his name is John Robert Wooden. Now, John is an he was, sorry, he passed away already. So he was an American um coach, okay? He was a player. So what he did, he actually in 12 years period, he as a head coach, he actually won championship so many times, more than anybody else have in the industry. Now, no other team had ever won more than what he ever did. And his secret was, and he said so, he actually never said the word winning to his team. Now, obviously, when we're talking about him being a, winning coach, he didn't do the work himself. He didn't participate, but he had a team that was highly motivated that helped him win. Now, he never even once said the word win. And his quote is that The best competition I have against myself is to become better. And that's what message he told his team. So it's all about telling your team, just keep on doing things better. Just keep on improving it. Now, if you know Tony Robbins, Tony Robbins have a similar concept to that. And his concept, he calls it Kenai. Kenai means constant and never ending improvement. So it's all about commitment. So when you are working, what you want to do, you want to achieve excellence. You don't want an excellent employer. You want them to achieve excellence. That means mastery, doing things beyond of what is required for them to go extra mile to get things done for you. As a leader, you are inspiring them to do that. And it's all about you committing and then you portraying that commitment to them, and then they will instantly want to keep on improving. So if my values, for example, my culture, I'm saying, okay, we need to just continuously keep on, I'm not going to set a benchmark because perfection doesn't exist. What we want to do is actually keep on trying to make things better, keep on improving your product, keep on improving your services, be innovative, come up with new things. Okay. And in there is a word also, it's used by Japanese. They call it kaizen. I'm not sure if you heard of it. Kaizen. Kaizen means constant improvement. Now, every single aspect of leadership management or any organization, they use the word Kaizen all the time. That means constant improvement. So commitment to constantly improving. So as a leader, if you portray that, your followers, you'll be able to influence others to do the same. So communication and commitment and the language that you use becomes the company's values, and that will help you create higher team performance for sure. Okay. Now, my fourth pillar is contribution. Now, type 1 in the chat box if you feel good after giving something. Who likes to help? Type 1. Yeah. So amazing. Thank you so much. I can see the ones coming. So contribution, loads of one coming, and we all feel good. And this is what life, and I like the culture of and the change that's we all had it before, but it wasn't as apparent as it is now. So contribution, if you can influence powerfully, if you can influence intelligently with integrity, there is no limit to whatever you can envision, and you can make a real. And if your influence becomes not just the influence, but you're able to influence like a system, you can influence people, you can influence a company, you can influence the culture, then you can turn other people into influencers. Okay. So, how you can do that is by teaching and helping your team contribute further. Because when you give, you feel better, you feel involved, you feel like you're valued. And we live in this world today where whatever we do is transparent. Okay. Now, why am I saying this now? We live in a transparent world in terms of technology. There's nothing called secret anymore. Like if I'm using Facebook, Facebook is monitoring my search. If I'm sending an email, if I'm looking for a product, I will receive emails about that product. So everything is monitored. Now, if I want to, let's say if someone wants to mimic me and write like me, there's AI, artificial intelligence now, there's software now that can write as if it's you in your language, and things like that. So there's no secrets anymore. However, and there's no privacy. Everything you've ever put on internet now is there forever, right? Um, anything. So, but the good news is by adding value is never going to go out of style. By giving is never going out of style. The truth is this style is actually going to actually enhance and keep on getting better. It's actually quite scary when it comes to technology and all of that. But the only thing that I think will maintain and will carry on growing is contribution. Contribution. Why? Because people are connected when they feel that they've given. People feel valued when they feel that they are contributing and giving value as well. Okay. So by adding value, we'll never go out of style. And ultimately, the big game here is about emotion. Okay. You have to influence people's emotion in terms of helping them give and helping them feel involved. And like I know the country is going through crisis and all of that, and it's not all about not having the resources to be able to deal with things. It's a lack of resourcefulness. You have to be creative enough, because if you're not committed, if you don't have clarity, if you don't have communication, if you're not committed, and if you don't feel that there's a sense of contribution, you're not going to get creative in terms of finding solution. Okay? Now, the last one, which I believe is very important, is culture. Now, you want to foster a culture of trust and respect. Now, for you to be able to build a high performance culture, it requires for you to implement the right processes. You have to implement the right behaviors, and you have to give value that help people thrive and bring the best to work every single day. Okay? So a high performance workplace is an environment designed to help your employees be effective. So as a leader, I've said that before, as a leader, you're the one who actually have to provide that environment for you to be able to create that culture where people are feeling that they are growing every single day. They feel that they are valued every single day. They feel aligned with the company's vision because there's clarity and there's communication. And they are being productive and they're being motivated to meet and even exceed their goals because they feel connected. They feel that they are part of the family. Okay. Now, I'm sure you can resonate with me when I say you've worked in a place one day where it might not have paid you well, but you get excited to go to work. You get excited. I've been there. I've been in the places where I was getting paid peanuts. But guess what? I was highly motivated, and the value and the dedication that I gave to the work was I gave all my best. I gave everything because I felt there was an amazing culture that helped me feel like, okay, I'm coming to my family here. It's not work colleagues. And I'm going to protect these my team because I care for them. So you want to create that kind of culture. And as a leader, you're the one who has to provide that environment for the people. Okay. So there's no surprise now. It comes to no surprise, okay? If companies with high performance cultures tend to be great places to work. So people would want to work for you if you have and create that great culture. Okay, so make sure that there's always a continuous learning for employees, for yourself. And great leaders are always learning. Great leaders never stop. So you're continuously learning, you're continuously trying to understand people, you're continuously trying to understand how you could continue to improve. Okay, so the organization's culture is basically the foundation of how your employees connect, how they interact, how they perform their roles on a day-to-day basis. And just remember, trust and psychological safety are the cornerstones to enable high performance employees. Okay. So when trust and psychological safety are high, team members feel greater sense of empowerment and autonomy, and they feel that they belong. Okay. And they will be very likely to just perform at the best all the time. Okay. So these are my belief about high performance team and what is it as a leader that you can do to make sure that this is embedded into your system, into your organization, and even if you're leading a community or even a country. Okay. So that will help you in many areas, which is like help with your turnover, motivation, quality, and dedication to serving at a bigger purpose. Now, just to wrap up, I know if any of those I think is not in your leadership scheme, you will not have a high performance team. I think these all work together. There is more. I've actually combined them into what I think is the right pillar and will help you sustain your leadership and maintain a higher team performance. Now, I just want to wrap up, and this is my biggest takeaway from when I want to educate people about leadership, and from my experience, from my observation. Leadership comes from service. Leadership is all about being able to serve someone in a way where you're empowering them, you are helping them, and people would want to work with you. Okay. And the second one, I think, is continuous improvement. So when you're leading, all you're looking for is you don't set benchmark. What you're looking to is someone, because everybody works in different way. People communicate in different way. But if you're looking for constant improvement, you are going to achieve excellence, not excellent. All right. So that is the end of my presentation. What I would like you to do, guys, I'm not sure how it's going to work, whether you want to, sorry, Jackson, perhaps you might want to help me unmute, or if anybody wants to type your questions, or if any of you have anything to ask, if you could just ask now, I'll be happy just to help you and clarify anything you may want to know. Okay. So any questions? I'm just going to keep an eye on the chat box, but if I have missed anything, if you guys could let me know, um, and I will do my best to answer your questions. Any questions? Perhaps it doesn't even have to be directly related to my content. It could be a question that had triggered a thought, perhaps in your workplace, or perhaps you observing someone else. I've seen many types of leaders. I've seen servant leaders, I've seen leaders, and I've seen toxic leaders. And it does matter of how you lead, and it is actually the backbone of anything that you do. You have to have the power to be able to influence in the right way, for that shared vision and mission. All right, so I don't see any questions. So in remote working environment, how does this impact? Thank you so much for this question. It's a very, very important and interesting question. Now, the world is becoming very, it's constantly changing, especially now we had COVID. We all have experienced a sudden change in terms of remote working, hybrid working, or working environment itself. Now, leadership is still going to have a big impact on environment, because doesn't matter now whether you're leading your team, um, either working physically in an office or working remotely. You have to provide that environment for people to still feel that they are being listened to, they are being encouraged. So, for example, remote work, I would just want to share one example with you. Actually, when we had COVID, I was still lecturing, and there was another organization, I'm not going to name them, and my daughter at the time was 2.5 years old. And the student back then was very quite interactive and needed attention. And then when I worked at home, the leaders had brought processes. I wouldn't say brought it, actually imparted, and put some process in place. And it was like a swift change, not prepared for it. So, and I personally had a really bad impact about it. I suffered a lot from it. And to answer your question about in remote working environment, how does this impact? It impacts even more significantly. So how could you provide a positive impact? Is through the pillars that I've explained to you, through communication. Now, communication in terms of having to explain, and one thing that people don't like is change. There's always resistance, and that's when negativity start instilling. So it's all about communication. So as a leader yourself, you have to communicate effectively, positively, and show people the bigger picture and show appreciation. And then in terms of commitment, obviously we talk about different types of leadership in terms of incentive and things like that. I'm not going through all of that, but it's all about the environment that you provide for your employees so that they feel still committed to working. So it does impact significantly. It's even more delicate to tackle when it comes to remote working. So definitely all the pillars I spoke to you about, which is communication, commitment, consistency, and you know, change and all of that, it all impacts on it. I'm looking for the other question. What is the meaning of toxic leadership? What is the meaning of toxic leadership? Now, a leader is supposed to bring the greater good in you, okay? A toxic leadership is, let's say you have different types of leaders. Leaders who is aligned with meeting the company's vision, which is let's say profit, whatever mostly one of them is profit. And then you have a leader who is actually more involved in terms of making sure the people. Now, toxic leadership is someone who's not going to is a leader who's not going to bring the best out of you. Is actually going to is more transactional in terms of not in a negative way. Toxic leadership is a leader who is actually going to point out what's not working, while a servant leadership is going to be someone who said, "Oh, you've done a mistake. What can we do together? How can I help you not make that mistake again?" While toxic leadership will actually say, "Okay, you've done a mistake. There's going to be consequences of this, so that doesn't get repeated again." So toxic leadership is someone who's have a mission and vision, but is not fully shared. Even if it's fully shared, you're not really there's no clarity in terms of what you want to bring. You're not bringing the best out of people. And I believe greater leadership, and we talk about different leadership styles. I don't believe in any leaders having a specific style. If you're not a servant leader, if you don't consider servant leadership, you're not going to be a good leader and effectively being a toxic leadership. Okay. I hope this answered the question. And I just want to go back to the remote working environment question that I had earlier. And I shared something earlier about the world is changing. It's actually quite scary because of technology and all of that. And it is always going to be a challenge. Okay. This is not going to get better. But when you're adding value, you're getting, as a leader, you're adding value. And as a leader, you are making sure that your employees feel that they are adding value, whether they're working remotely or hybrid. You will significantly influence them and still get them to work at a high performance. I hope this answers your question. I've got another one here. You said there is no leadership style, but need to have multiple styles based on situation. Is there one style impact most for success? Yes, 100%. So what I said, I didn't say there is different style, but I think a leader should not be adopting just one style or two styles or a combination of one or two. I think you have to, as a great leader, you have to be able to be adaptable to whatever situations throws at you. So you have to be autocratic when the situations arise. You have to be democratic, or you have to be a laissez-faire. It depends on the situation, and you have to be adaptable. But if you're asking me now, there's one style of leadership that mostly impact success. I would say servant leadership. Serving. Like I asked you guys a question earlier, who likes to give? Most of you answered yes, because serving, giving makes you feel good. And when you feel good, it makes you happy. And when you're happy, you want to do more. And when you don't want to do more, you get obsessed with it. And the more you do things better, the more you reach excellence. And that's why I think servant leadership is the best one. Okay, so I hope this answers your question.
Hi there,
Sapir?
Ousha. May I interrupt you for a minute, please?
Yes, hi Adila.
Yeah, so I think we have one more question, and I think since we're a bit of a time crunch, maybe you can answer that question, and that will have to be it for the questions and
Last,
answers.
it's fine. Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Adila. Okay, we've got one last question to answer, which is the time. So you have emphasized about servant leadership style where the corporations promote transformational leadership style. Can a leader, sorry, I can't see because of my glasses. I haven't put my glasses on. Can a leader be deliver two kind of leadership style simultaneously? Absolutely, yes. That's what my answer was earlier about leadership style. You have to be able to um adopt whatever works. So sometimes you've got to do it simultaneously, or you have to switch. And I think a great leader is able to do that. So you'll be able to serve, but at the same time be autocratic. You will be able to serve, but at the same time be laissez-faire. Do you understand? So there is a way of working simultaneously. All right. So thank you all. I really appreciate your questions. And thank you so much for those who are interacting. Make the world a better place. We need more leaders like you. And congratulations again for being on this impactful course. So thank you so much, everyone, for your time today. Okay. You take care. Thank you so much. Bye bye. You can see
Okay,
me.
thank you, Sasha, for taking us through the nuances of effective
Thank
leadership
you.
and walking us through the various strategies that can be used to leverage them for maximum success. So you also talked about the differences between leadership and management and how the one size fits all theory doesn't work. And so all in all, I believe it's been a fruitful webinar, and you also beautifully summed it all up through your pillars to high performing teams. So that was a good one. So, and we also have Mr. Sajid here, who's also thank you. Thank you for your dedication to sharing your knowledge and expertise. Your webinar was a valuable learning experience to Kensley students. So, thank you once again, Sausha. So, it's been a pleasure having you with us. So, we actually had around 100 registrants, but I believe most of them couldn't make it since it's a long weekend here in Sri Lanka. So, we have had back-to-back holidays the past few days. So it's a long weekend. So most of them might be out of town. So out of the 100 registrants, most of them have turned up. But yeah, so it's been a fruitful discussion. Thank you once again. Thank you, everyone.